Hi all, welcome to the video lecture series of Python for Machine Learning. In this video lecture, we'll be discussing about the topic objects and classes. Python is an object-oriented programming language, and all object-oriented programming language gives more importance to objects. So what is an object? An object can be defined as a collection of data and methods or functions that uses these data to perform various operations. So we are grouping several variables or data or information and all the functions or methods that makes use of these additional informations to perform various operations into a single unit. That unit is known as an object. So just now we mentioned that it's a collection of variables and methods. From where does an object gets these variables and functions or methods? An object gets these variables and functions from a class. That means objects are created from a class. Or in other words, we can say that a class is the blueprint from which we are creating the objects. So a class will determine how many variables and how many methods an object must have. And by using a single class, we can create any number of objects. See, here we have mentioned a class, an example. We can think of class as a blueprint or a prototype or a sketch of a house. Before we build a house, we'll be drawing a sketch of the house that we are going to build. In that sketch, everything will be there in detail. What is the square feet and the square feet of the house? Where are the rooms? Where is the kitchen, etc., etc. What all things must be there inside that house, etc. And based on that sketch, if we build something, we can call that as a house, right? We can use the same sketch to build any number of houses. Similarly, if we design a class, based on that class we can create any number of objects. All the objects that belongs to a class will have the common number of variables as well as methods. And so these objects are also known as instance of a class, because from class we are creating one particular instance. So these objects are also known as instance of a class, and the process by which we are creating an object from a class is known as instantiation. How to define a class when we write a Python program? For defining a class, we have a keyword named class. So we have to use that keyword in order to define the class. And the first string that comes inside a class is known as a doc string. And it is actually a brief description about the class, what that class is used for, or what is the purpose of that class, what all things are included in that class, etc. The doc string is not compulsory, but it is recommended to write the doc string whenever we create a class. We can see a simple class definition over there. Class is the keyword and my new class, that is the name of the class. As you can see, we use a colon and then we start writing the lines of code. The doc string, you can see it is opening by three single quotes, a pair of three single quotes. This is the doc string. I have created a new class. Thus that there we are writing the details of the class, what all things will be there inside the class, etc. As soon as we define a class, a new class object is created with the same name as that of the class name we have given. By using that object, we can access the elements inside the class. Access means we can either assign or modify or give new values to the already existing variables inside the class, or we can just use the variables inside the class. So here we have declared a class. The class name is person, as you can see, and there is a doc string. This is the person class, that is the doc string. And there is one variable named age, and we have given the value 10 to that variable. And there is one function or method. As you can see, the functions are starting with the keyword def, and the function name is greet. And there is one parameter. You might have studied about the self parameter of functions. And there is only one statement inside the function right now, that is to print the word hello. And after that, once we have created the class, the object with the same name as that of the class. So once we define this class, an object with the name person is created. Now if you want to access the variables or methods inside the class, we can use that object name. So here the object name is class name itself, that is person. So person.age means we are accessing the variable age inside the class person. So here actually we are accessing this variable, so we'll be getting the output as 10. Similarly, person.greet, we are actually accessing the function, so we'll be getting the output like this. And we are accessing the doc string like this, person.doc, so we'll be getting the output as the doc string, that is, this is the person. Just now we saw that how to use the class name to what we can say, to use the variables or methods inside the class. We can use the class name to create objects also. That process is known as instantiation, and as you can see, the procedure to create an object is similar to a function call. So in this example we are going to create an object of class person. For that we have to write object name equal to the class name. So here Harry is the object name that I am going to give, and equal to the class name with a pair of parentheses. When this line of code is executed, a new object whose name is Harry will be created, and that object will be having the variables and methods as mentioned in the person class. So now Harry is the instance of class. Here we can see the example of accessing the variables and methods inside the object. We have the class here, we are creating the object Harry here, Harry equal to person. Now if you want, now when we write like this, when we create an object, all the methods and variables inside this class will be available for Harry also. Now if you want to access the variable or method inside the object Harry, we have to use Harry dot the method name or the variable name, that is object name dot the variable name or the method name. That is a format for accessing the variables as well as methods. We shall conclude now. In this video lecture we discussed about, or we defined, what is a class, what is an object, how to write class, how to create objects from a class, what are the instance variables and instance methods, how to access those variables and methods by using class as well as objects. That is all in this video lecture. Thank you so much.